it's so common.
That also to me means that we're also very well, not only then connected obviously with our family members in that sense, but also with the planet again in that sense. We might feel that the Earth is building up pressure in terms of a volcano or even an earthquake. We've had quite a few of these recently, and even things like that might also contribute to people's kind of a little bit a sense of agitation, if you know what I mean, before these pressures are released on the Earth, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then it's so easy to misinterpret that again and try to project it onto something that you know about.
Yes.
And that is, maybe if we have a greater intuitive skill, we can sit with the feelings a little longer and say, well, what is this really? Now, I notice sometimes, like the early part of this year, I feel, 2010 is getting extremely intense. And I think we had a lot of waves come through last year, but this year, I think it's going to be even more so.
Oh,
and
no.
I feel like right now we're in a low before a wave.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost as though we've been held back a little, things haven't quite been able to materialize, and we're waiting, and there's a sense of being sort of antsy or a little, buzzy. But I think maybe around July or August, there'll be a wave of energy that comes through, but I think it's going to be almost like light, more light coming through for people. And if you're open to it, it could just take you like a wave and move you way, very far, If you resist it, it could cause, things to sort of break up in your life or, anything that's in the way to crash and burn, But I think these waves have been coming through for years, intensifications and then a lull where you sort of adjust and relax and open up and get into the new vibration, and then another one comes, and then we relax. And so, there's nothing bad about it.
Sure. Do you think that they come in more, closer, they come closer and closer and maybe even more powerfully each time? Do you think it works like that? Many people theorize, leading up to obviously 2012, and if we tie in the whole, some aspects of what researchers have been saying about the Mayan calendar increase in time and time compression even, and energy compression in that sense, that we might be looking at a very kind of unsettling period in the next couple of years here. So what do you think, Penny?
Yes. Always, I think there are two levels to these kinds of things. There will be people who are already very open and fluid and porous, and transparent, where this energy will just take them into enlightened states. And there will be amazing innovations and inventions and breakthroughs and all kinds of great stuff. And then there are other people who are locked into fear and resistance. And when that kind of energy starts to come through them and they resist it, it may kill them. I think there's going to be a wave of suicide on the planet in the next, 5 or 10 years. I think that I keep getting the sense that the internet may go down for a while. That just everything that we've become so reliant on electronically may suddenly blink out for a while.
Yeah.
And, that we shouldn't get too cocky about, having all this stuff.
Right.
Because there's a bigger force out there beyond us.
Absolutely.
That, could take it in a second. And
I mean, that's sorry to cut you off there, Penny, but I just want to interject and mention that again, that many people listen to this show will be aware also that, even NASA is projecting solar activity to kick up, and that's one of these things that could easily knock out our electrical system. So that's a big, obvious kind of force out there, if you know what I mean, that has have this ability. So we don't have to go far, so to speak, in order to realize that this is a big possibility and a fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a dream, another one of these kind of visionary dreams 20-some years ago, where I was talking to a man who was a healer, and he was dressed in a business suit, and he said to me that he'd been on the East Coast of the United States in New York and the big cities, and he said, boy, those people there, those suits are really solid, meaning that their mental focus was so strong that he couldn't get through to them, and he said it was really hard working with them, and I said, I know. He looked over at me, and he said, well, you are right on schedule, and I looked down, and my left arm up to my shoulder was transparent, and I went, oh, gee, yes, that's right, we're supposed to become transparent. And then I remembered that in a little while in the future, like 20-some years or so, which put it around 2012 to 2020. It wasn't exactly right on 2012,
sure.
That there was going to be an event, a cosmic event of some sort. And in my dream, it was called the Void. And in order to survive the Void, you had to become like the Void. In other words, transparent, which meant to not hold things to yourself and not be solid with mental fixations and emotional resistances and all of that, but to be in the moment, 100%, without any fixations or contractions. Mm. And that what was likely to happen was that there would be a moment where it's almost like time would stop. And we would blink out like a particle blinks out into the wave state. And then when we blink out, there would be a pause. And then we would blink back. But if we didn't hold any ideas about time or any sense of how things should be, those of us who could do that, we wouldn't know anything had happened. Mm. Everything would be the same. Mm. We'd be fine. But people who couldn't do that and who were stuck in a linear sense of time or, certain concepts would very likely die. And I knew a fair amount of people might die. And yet in my dream, I wasn't at all upset about that. because I knew that this had been planned for, that a lot of people knew about this for lifetimes. It was not a big surprise that we'd been actually planning for it. And I was really excited at my dream. And I also knew that at that point, it was almost like the Earth might sort of bifurcate, or that those of us who were higher frequency would come back onto a planet that was the same frequency as we were, a higher frequency, everything sort of homogeneous. Those who weren't at that level would come back onto a planet that was the way they knew it to be, so a lower frequency Earth, but it would still look the same to them. So there would be no real loss anywhere, but that there would be a shift into, almost like parallel worlds.
Do you think,
so I don't.
Do you think
I don't
then
know
that means? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that means that the people who are on one side, could they still be in contact with the other people who went to the new place, so to speak, or was it like a splitting taking place here, that they went their separate ways, so to speak?
Well, think of it as all still in the same present moment, just like all of our dead relatives are still with us in the present moment, but they're at a higher frequency. So I think that everything is still here in a parallel reality, and like with UFOs or angels or non-physical beings, if you can raise your energy level and consciousness frequency, you can go into those dimensions intentionally and consciously and interact with them. And I think that it's only in the lower frequency reality, it would be a matter of linear time for the development of those skills. For the higher frequency reality, it's a matter. It's all happening now anyway. We can do it. So for us, there's no separation. For the other people, there is separation.
That's very interesting. A very interesting point, Penny. And I do want to talk more with you here in our next hour more about this, but also in terms of dreams. And you mentioned the 9-step process before as well. We can go into more in detail about that and so forth. But to round things up for us here, Penny, for the first hour, please mention your websites and obviously where people can go then to get pick up a copy either of your new book, Frequency, or the old one as I mentioned before as well. It's in reprint now, I think, called The Intuitive Way. So let us know where to go. Okay.
My website is my name, Penney Peirce, but it's spelled Penney and then PeiRce, pennypeirce.com. Also, Intuit Now, INTUITNOW, will get you there. And then there's a whole, thefrequencybook.com is just for the whole frequency material. So you can go to those places. And also, I do life readings and hour-long sessions by phone, so if people want readings, they can get at it through the website as well. And the book is on Amazon, and you can get it online almost anywhere.
All right, excellent. We will have these links up on redicecreationsaswell.com, so you can click through from there easily. Stay with us, Penny, and we'll take a short break, and then we'll continue with Hour 2 shortly. That's Hour 1 with Penney Peirce. We have more coming up in Hour 2 for members. We talk more about dreams, dream interpretation, prophetic dreams, and the different dream realms. We talk about Penny's own pre-9/11 dream and the process of growth and knowledge. We tie the Merlin project together with Time Wave Zero of Terence McKenna in terms of future predictions. We talk about change in 2010 and the interpretations of 2012. How can we integrate with the new changes that are taking place, and how will this enable us to heal both physically and mentally? We talk about miracles, synchronicity, and how to find and get familiar with your own home frequency, and how to appreciate the moment, and how to read truth and anxiety signals. We round things up talking about how discoveries about our ancient past possibly can lead us to new understandings about the present and our future, how past and future will meet up. We talk about ancient civilizations, archaeological discoveries, and entities or beings that have been guiding our experience, and different soul groups who have been doing certain kinds of jobs on this planet to keep things working, as it were. An interesting Hour 2 is coming up with Penney Peirce. Go to redicecreations.com, click on members to log in or sign up to download or stream the next hour. Check our radio archive for upcoming guests, and feel free, of course, to comment on redicecreations.com as well on this radio program's info page. Give us your input. We'll be back with more after this break.